Flipping Clean Mama. My name's Larissa, and I am the Flipping Clean Mama. I am so excited to bring you today the transformation of a 9-drawer vintage dresser. I got this dresser off of Facebook Marketplace. Wait for it, for free! I am so excited when I pick up pieces for free. It just sweetens the deal. I can't wait for you to see the transformation, and I hope you'll stay around to the end of the video to see the numbers and how much profit I actually made. All right, without further ado, let's get flippin'! Alright everyone, here's the before picture of the 9-drawer vintage dresser that I got for free off of Facebook Marketplace. Our first step today will be removing the hardware. You can either use a screwdriver or a drill to remove your hardware, and then I like to keep all my hardware in one spot. I won't be reusing this hardware. I will be putting on some new hardware, which will be more streamlined and silver, which you'll see later in the video. Here's a close-up of the original hardware for you. And then I'll be cleaning this piece with a TSP substitute called Sunnyside. It is from our local hardware store here in the Midwest called Menards. But you can use any kind of degreaser to clean your furniture with. One of my other favorite things to use on furniture is Dawn dish soap. You want to go through and put your degreaser all over the furniture with a damp cloth. And then once you have it all cleaned, inside and out, you want to rinse it all with a warm, wet washcloth as well. Just look how dirty the cloth is. It is so important for you to rinse all the degreaser off so the paint will adhere to it. Cleaning is one of the most important steps to redoing furniture. Here I'm just continuing to rinse off the drawers. Once you get everything rinsed off, you want to let it sit out and dry thoroughly. If it's a nice sunny day, it's good to let it sit outside. Now I'm starting to sand the top. I'm using a Dewalt sander, which you can buy anywhere, for about $60, either in a hardware store or on Amazon, and I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper. The lower the grit, the rougher the sandpaper. That is always something to keep in mind. I want to take all the finish off the top of this dresser. That's why I'm using a lower grit sandpaper. My plan is to take the top of the dresser and restain it. Sanding can be very therapeutic. However, sometimes it can be a very long process too if you're taking off all the finish. And just a side note, a lot of this is sped up, so it does take a lot longer than it looks on the video. I didn't have it recorded, but I did sand the whole body and the drawers with a 120 grit. This here is also a 120 grit, and I'm going around all the edges. You want to do this by hand because an orbital sander might be too rough on it. Now we're going to start staining the top. I'm using Minwax's Stain and Honey. You want to apply a liberal amount to the top of your surface. Make sure when you're applying the stain that you're either using like a foam brush or a lint-free cloth. Today, I'm using this lint-free cloth. Once you get the stain all on, you can let it sit for just a few minutes. I'm finishing the edges right now and applying the stain to all the edges. Once you let it sit, then you're going to take another lint-free cloth and wipe all the excess off. Here you see I'm wiping off all the excess. And once in a while you get those little fuzzies in there, like you see me picking out here. Alright, now it's time to do the primer. Today I use the primer Boss by Dixie Belle. It's not only just a primer, but it also helps smells. Like say you got a piece that smells like a smoker, then Boss would be your go-to to go to. I primed the whole piece and made sure I taped off the top so I wouldn't get any on the finish that I just did. I usually like using Boss or else Ben Zinzer's shellac-based primer. But just a heads up, if you do use this shellac-based primer, that it will be hard to get out of your brushes, so it's better to apply it with a cheap brush. Once you have primed, you want to go through and sand everything with about a 220 grit sandpaper, just to knock any rough edges off, and let it be able to apply the paint a little smoother so it will adhere. Here I am starting the painting process. I went with General Finishes milk paint in the color Alabaster. It is my first time using milk paint, but I really liked how smoothly it went on. So I encourage you, if you have never used milk paint, to give it a try. When you're painting, you want to go in the direction of the grain when possible, in long, smooth strokes. Sometimes with milk paint even, and chalk paint especially, I use a little bit of water to spray on to help with the streaking, or so you don't get any streaks, that is. I'm fairly new into my flipping journey. I started back in March, and this is one of my first pieces. It is something that I never thought I would ever do, but it turns out I really enjoy it. Alright, now I'm going to start priming the drawers. I didn't do any video of me painting the drawers, but this is me priming with the Boss. And again, you want to sand with like a 220 grit in between each coat after it dries. A lot of the time, I will let my primer dry overnight. I just wanted to give a shout out while you're watching me prime this to some of my inspirations here on YouTube. Some of the people that have really helped me along my journey the last few months have been the furniture flipping teacher, Pretty Distressed with Christina, Kate Scott, and Stabs Rehab. But my biggest inspiration has been my best friend Amanda. She started flipping before I did, and she really inspired me to try it too. She inspires me in a lot of things though, so a shout out to you, woman. As you can see here on the drawers, I filled all the holes of the drawers with wood filler and sanded it down afterwards, because I'll be putting the new hardware on there and we'll have to drill new holes. And here I am wiping off the door to apply the Boss to it as well. This is the second coat of Boss that I've been doing on the drawers and the door. I just want to make sure that there's no bleed through. Have you ever redone a piece of furniture? If so, I hope you will drop that in the comments below. Let me know what you have transformed. Or if you have a picture of it, I would love to see that as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to continue to be on my journey with me. And it really goes a long way helping my channel out. Here I am applying the second coat of paint to the dresser. I'm using a zebra brush right there, the handheld one. Of all my brushes I've used so far, zebra has been my favorite brush. When I'm painting the edges like that, I always make sure to tape inside. If you tape the inside of those edges and on the sides of your dresser, it just makes it look so much more professional in my opinion. And I want the person who's buying it to be so happy with the piece. And I don't want it to look sloppy, not even in the inside. So though it may take me a little bit longer, I really encourage anyone to tape the insides of their pieces. My other tip for that is make sure you look at your piece upside down. When your client is loading your piece into its car, sometimes you can see where you missed painting on the bottom side of the piece. And if you just add a little paint there, it looks so much more professional. My other tip is also make sure you dust the bottom of your piece. Even if you just did it and it's been sitting, say, in your garage, like my pieces do, the spiders are bound to find it and start to make webs on you. So just before they come pick it up, make sure to dust the bottom of your piece, because it is sort of embarrassing if they pick it up and there's big spider web hanging off of it. Painting can be so therapeutic and relaxing, so I encourage you to try it. Now I'm starting to do the top coat on the top of the dresser. I'm using a polyacrylic this day to do it and a foam brush. When you put the polyacrylic on top of the dresser, try to go in long strokes. And if you live in a humid area like me, make sure you do it early in the morning when it's a little cooler. And once it dries, you want to go through with a fine grit sandpaper and just knock any of the bumps down so it's nice and smooth. That's what I'm doing here. I believe I was using a 400 grit sandpaper. And once you get it done sanded, you want to make sure that you blow it off, either with an air compressor or some people use a leaf blower, and then wipe it down with a microfiber cloth. You don't want any of that sand dust getting into your coat of poly. I also did poly on the whole base as well, and I mixed a little white paint in with it when I did the poly on the base, just to make it not cloudy. It's not necessary to do it on the light colors, but on the dark colors, it's always good to add a couple drops of paint to your poly. I will confess that poly has been one of the most challenging things for me with flipping furniture. Alright, now we're going to drill the holes for the new hardware. I measured it out with a ruler, put some tape on there so I could mark my holes, and then drilled the holes. I'm not going to lie, it was probably the worst part of the whole thing. I have since got a tool that makes it a lot easier to drill the holes, but I did have to drill the holes on all 9 drawers. I take that back, just the 6 drawers. The 3 in the middle don't have handles. Just so you can remember, this is the before picture, and here is the after. It turned out beautifully. And there you can see the finished product Stay tuned for the breakdown of the numbers. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that transformation. Now it's time to get to the numbers. As I said before, I got the dresser for free. I put about $35 of paint into it. I put about $5 of stain, $10 of top coat, and $12 on the hardware as I bought them in bulk. So that gave me a grand total of $62 all in. I listed it on Facebook Marketplace for $450. That same week, I got an offer of $425. So $425 minus the $62 that I had invested in it gives me a profit of $363. And if you divide that by the 8 hours it took me to do it, that gives me an hourly rate of $45, which is pretty good. I would encourage you that if you've ever thought about transforming a piece of furniture, either for you or someone else, that you will go ahead and take that plunge. I know you can do it. I would ask today if you would please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you can see more videos in the future. I would love to interact with you in the comments as well, so drop one of those below. And if you'd also like to talk to me on Instagram or Facebook, feel free to head over there and check me out at flippingcleanmama. Alright, it's been great to be here with you today. Go ahead and keep on flipping.